Suzanne will help us to practice developing the compassionate self.
So hello again. In CFT and CMT, we use different imagery to cultivate compassion in the three flows and to shape a part of ourselves that we call the compassionate self, so that it becomes the main interlocutor in all our flows and all our relationships. So in the exploration of the compassionate self, we will talk about the three pillars of compassion that are wisdom, strength, and caring commitment. So I'm going to illustrate these pillars in this training practice that we are going to do together that is called the compassionate self. So sitting in an upright but comfortable position, trying to adopt the grounded, confident posture in your chair. Feet on the ground, shoulder width apart. Aligning the head with the spine. Opening the shoulder. Engaging in your soothing rhythm breathing. And perhaps bringing a friendly facial expression. Allowing your breathing to slow a little. And gently resting your attention in the flow of the in-breath and the out-breath. Staying with this for a moment. Now you are going to use your imagination to create an outline of what you would like to be as a deeply compassionate person. So for a moment, think about the qualities you would have if this were the case. If it helps, taking a moment to think about someone you know who is very compassionate. What are the qualities that make them a compassionate person? Remember, it doesn't matter whether you feel you are actually a compassionate person. The most important thing is to imagine that you have the qualities of a deeply compassionate person and that you are stepping into this character, this version of you, just as actors do when they take on a role. So let's spend a moment imagining these qualities, focusing on the three specific qualities of wisdom, strength, and caring commitment. The first quality of your compassionate self is wisdom. There are many sources of wisdom. One comes from an understanding that we have tricky brains, which often get caught in the loops for strong emotions and desires that are difficult to manage. We didn't choose to have a mind that works like this. In fact, so much of who we are, our genes, our gender, our ethnicity, or culture, we did not choose either. But this has had a significant impact on the person we are today. If we'd been raised by our next door neighbors rather than our house, by our caregivers, we would be a different person today. So your compassionate self has a deep wisdom about the nature of life, knows that so many of our problems are rooted in things that have been beyond our control. And much of what goes on in our minds is simply not our fault. Your compassionate self has wisdom. And it's linked to how it has learned to take responsibility for doing something about your suffering. This involves stepping back from the blame, the shame, and judgment, and cultivating our minds in a way that might be helpful. Our compassionate wisdom unfolds to help us learn and develop skills that help us alleviate the distress and difficulties we meet in life. Spending a few seconds focusing on what it would be like to be a wise, compassionate self. Now bringing to mind the quality of strength and authority. This strength emerges from both the wisdom of understanding the reality of distress and suffering in life, but also the commitment to do what we can about this. It involves courage to face difficulties and tolerate the discomfort they bring, as well as our fears about change. Imagine that your compassionate self is strong and has an inner confidence, feeling connected to your upright body posture, feet grounded on the floor, and a soothing breathing rhythm. Feel the strength of the body helping the mind. Now consider what tone of voice your compassionate self would use. How you might stand and walk as a strong, confident person. Bringing to mind what it would be like to be a strong, confident, compassionate authority. Now, finally, focusing on the quality of caring commitment. Your compassionate self has a deep caring commitment. And this is partly linked to an appreciation that life can be very hard and that we may all struggle with many things. So given this, your compassionate self is motivated to be caring and committed to alleviate your own and other people's suffering. It also has a desire to contribute to your own and other people's well-being. It recognizes that while many of our struggles are not our fault, we can take responsibility for acting in ways that are helpful and wise. Imagine how you would stand if you had a connection with this, considering what your facial expression or your voice tone might be like if you were deeply caring and committed to alleviating suffering. Trying to imagine these qualities of caring commitment, wisdom, strength, coming together into a sense of your compassionate self. How might you stand? How might you speak? How you would think and feel? How you would try to respond to people as your compassionate self. Focusing on the desire to think, behave, and feel compassionately. Not worrying if you don't feel that you have these qualities, just like an actor playing a character. Just imagining what it would be like if you did. Spending a few more seconds allowing yourself to connect to your compassionate self. Exploring the different qualities of strength, wisdom, and caring commitment. Now, when you feel ready, just letting the image fade. Directing the attention to the breath, the soothing rhythm. Being conscious about your posture, the surrounding sounds, and gently opening the eyes if they were closed. Bring this practice to an end.